Good morning, YouTube. I apologize for the horrible lighting. It is Saturday. It is about 6:30 a.m. The sun is not even up yet. I am in New Jersey and I am at the train station right now, if you can't tell. Today is going to be a kind of a different kind of vlog. I don't usually get political on here, and this is by no means the views of the others on the channel. But today, my workout's going to be a little bit different today. Today I'm going to be marching for my life. So if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned for more. All right, I'll see you in a bit. Bye. Hey guys, I'm trying to talk quietly because I'm on the train right now. But I've officially boarded the train and I am en route to New York City to attend the March for Our Lives in New York City. So stay tuned. I'll be a little bit louder. I don't want to disturb anyone on the train. All right, see you soon. Okay, so we are in New York City. I am at the site of the march. We are waiting for the speakers. I've got a bunch of people behind me. I'm with the alumni group, although I am not an alumni from Douglas, but we have a friend here who is. And we're just waiting for the speakers and for everything to commence. But you can see it's a pretty crazy scene here in New York. Daylight's out. It's going to be a good day. Hey guys, I'm so sorry about this. This update is coming a lot later than I wanted it to. If I'm going to be honest, it is the next day. I got home pretty late last night. I want to say I got home at like 5 or 6 o'clock p.m. And with all the marching and everything, it was just a very, very exhausting day. And I pretty much passed out when I came home, and the next day I had a bunch of stuff to do. So I'm finally getting around to finishing up this video. I'm sorry for my appearance right now. I've just been kind of getting stuff done around my apartment, and I'm just kind of in that, you know, I don't care look. All right, but anyways, I did want to make this video to talk about my stance on this and why this is so important to me. And in this, as I said before, this is by no means a reflection on the other people on the channel and what their beliefs are, but this is just my own personal beliefs, and I'm going to explain why it's so important to me. So for those of you who don't know or don't remember, I do work as an elementary music teacher, so I do work in the school system. With that being said, I firmly feel like our country needs some, I don't want to say gun restrictions, but just some common sense when it comes to guns. I know that I don't want to get this political, and trust me when I say I am if an armed shooter were to ever come into my classroom or into my school, like, I know that that's going to be the end of my life. I know I am going to be taking a bullet for your child. I think almost any teacher I know who is in that situation would do the same thing. Like, we love the students. We want to protect the students. We want to make them feel safe. But that being said, I did not get into this career to be a martyr. I did not get into it to sacrifice myself or have to worry about, you know, the potential of that. And honestly, with the way things are going and the direction things are going and the frequency of these shootings nowadays, I really am worried about that. And that's not something that was crossing my mind when I got my degree in education. It's definitely something that scares me, especially because a lot of these schools that I've worked in the past and in the present, a lot of these schools are not designed for something like an armed shooter coming in. Like, they just, you know, they were built a long time ago, and these things weren't happening back then. And, with the proposition of arming teachers, I know I was having a conversation with one of my friends about this, and they were saying, well, you are thinking about it as a teacher, but you don't understand it as a parent. And I'm much more comfortable with, the idea of arming teachers. And maybe, because I don't have kids, I don't see it from that perspective. But my perspective is from a practical perspective. And I don't want to say the parent I was talking to wasn't being practical, but I think being in the classroom, a lot of people don't know what it's like, and they don't see the practicality in it. But just to give you a perspective, especially in an elementary school, as a music teacher, I tend to spend all day running up and down the stairs. I'm jumping with students. I'm dancing with them. It's a very active job. I'm on my feet all day long. And with the adding a gun to the mix, first of all, I'm not comfortable with it. And even with the training, would I be expected to have it on me? When I'm jumping around with the kids, would it have to be locked up? Would that have to be something I'd be responsible for? Remember reading a report in another state where they've already implemented this, where a teacher actually went to the bathroom, and when she was trying to get herself situated, she actually wound up shooting herself in the foot because, and it was totally accidental. And that's just kind of the stuff that I'm not surprised by, because it's just not practical in the school buildings. Not to mention the fact that it's scary to an elementary student. We can try to make them think that it's safe all we want to, but a kid seeing a gun, that's scary to a 5-year-old. That's scary to explain to them. And I'm scared by it, to be honest with you. And to be perfectly honest, while I consider myself mentally stable, we do see reports about mentally unstable teachers all the time. How are you going to guarantee that the teachers you're handing these guns to are totally competent? I mean, I would say, 95% of us are, but, you just never know. And it's just something that I don't think is an answer. Another thing that I want to bring up is just being in elementary school. When we have these lockdown drills, what we will do is we'll close the classroom doors, we'll lock them, we'll sometimes lower shades. The class goes to a location where they can't be seen, and we have to sit with those kids and be quiet. So thinking about having a gun, if I'm with 6 and 7-year-olds, am I supposed to just get up with my gun, run off and leave them there for themselves? Are they supposed to keep themselves calm? Who is watching them during this dangerous situation? Who's making sure that they're okay? Who's keeping them calm? If I'm going off and, trying to be a hero, and then there's the element of, what if I get into a battle and I, sadly get killed? Would one of my students then become responsible for taking my weapon and saving the day? It just becomes a very messy, I think, legal scenario and everything. I just can't see it being a solution. I just don't. The same thing with security guards. That's something that's been proposed a lot, but we saw with the Parkland shooting that wasn't a solution either, because the guy never went in. You can't predict what somebody's going to do in a crisis, unfortunately. So for me, I think the only answer that makes sense, at least for me, that I feel comfortable with, is really looking into reinforcing our schools in other ways, not with weapons, but making, adding constructions to fortify them. That might mean adding metal detectors, which I know some people say would make school feel like prison, but honestly, as a kid, I think I'd get more used to a metal detector than I would to, my teachers having guns on them all day long. I think that's a little bit of a more comforting sight. Another thing that I saw, was adding security cameras everywhere. I know some schools employ them in several locations, but I was watching a video about a school that had them everywhere. And I think that having them up to date does make a difference. It allows us to communicate with law enforcement in a more timely manner. Stronger background checks. When we say gun control, we're not saying, get rid of the guns altogether, but watching who we give them out to, giving them a background check that is very thorough, putting them on a waiting list if necessary, and possibly raising the age. And also getting rid of these assault rifles, which really just have no purpose in um, civilian society. I mean, a gun, let's face it, a gun is to kill. That's what we have it for, and it's to protect our homes and stuff. But there's no reason for us to have an assault rifle. Those are there to kill, and I don't even think like hunters are using like these AR-15s. Like maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I am, but I think something needs to be done about that. Um, I want to also mention, like, in this video that I watched about this really safe school, they also showed this school having this feature installed into it, and they said it cost like, a lot of money, like millions of dollars, but they said it was worth it, where they actually put these steam shooters into the wall. So they had like their security cameras hooked up, and basically if an intruder ever came in, the police would be able to monitor it through the security footage, and they would be able to attack the intruder with this steam. Like, it would just shoot at them. And like, yes, it's something that costs millions of dollars, but I mean, so would be the training and arming the teachers. I mean, I would much rather have a building that's fortified than, having to be responsible for a weapon that's just not something I went into teaching for. I'm sorry if this is coming off rambly. I know this isn't usually the type of video, but again, I just wanted to show you guys what I was up to, because it was something that I felt strongly enough to get on a train and go to New York and march for, because, teachers, we put up with a lot. A lot of people make decisions about our profession that don't know anything about it. Politicians decide how many standardized tests we're going to do. They decide to have us do these special reports. We do all this stuff for the state, and we do it all for the kids, and we rarely complain. But, enough is enough. I don't want a gun. I don't want to have to explain to a bunch of elementary students why I need to have a gun and why their school isn't safe if they don't have one. I want to be able to build an environment without guns where my students can come and they can feel safe every day. And realistically, a lot of these schools are not in the 21st century. Like, they were constructed a long time ago, and it's time that we look at the construction of them and consider refortifying them without guns. And I know this is going to be a very controversial opinion, but I just wanted to say it so you guys could, leave your comments. And if you want to hate on me, you can do it in the comment section below. Let me know if you agree with me. But again, it's just something I feel very strongly about. And I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit different. And I promise we'll get back on track next week. Thank you. Have a great rest of your week. Bye, guys.